pull up the website of 10 Nigerian NGOs right now. I will wait. Maybe a green, a blue, a handshake, an upward arrow, a tagline about empowering communities or transforming lives or building a better Nigeria. Maybe a stock photo of a woman in a head wrap holding a child, or a group of young people laughing at a laptop. All of this sounds familiar because these looks like cliche images that are commonly used in NGO related branding. I am saying this because I spent 8 years inside one of these organizations as the designer and then as the person overseeing design, and I watched it happen from the inside. It's not a designer problem, it's a system problem. And once you understand the system, you can actually do something about it. Before I get into the reasons, let me say this clearly. Visual identity is not decoration for any NGO, it is trust infrastructure. So, when a donor encounters your brand for the first time, they are not thinking, ooh, nice logo. They are doing a subconscious credibility check. Does this organization look like it knows what it's doing? Does it look like my money will be handled properly? Does it look like the kind of place I want my name attached to? And when a community you're trying to serve sees your flyer, your truck, your field officers, t-shirts, they are asking the same question. Do these people look like they are here for us? Or do they look like every other organization that came before and didn't deliver? Brand is how you answer both questions at once, which means a generic brand is a silent liability. It's costing you trust you don't even know you are losing. Here are 5 reasons why I say what I'm saying. Reason number 1, the brief is always structurally the same. It's always make us look credible to funders, make us look professional, make us look like we belong in the same conversation as the international organization. And then, almost in the same breath, but also make sure we look African. Make sure it doesn't look too corporate. We want to feel approachable. The brief in itself is mostly never about being distinctive. So the designer in this case is immediately solving contradictory things at once under a budget that doesn't allow for the kind of research and strategy that would actually get you there. The result is a forgettable brand that played safe, tries to be all of these things, but ends up being neither or one identical to the 10 other organizations also trying to thread the same needle. So here is reason number 2. Founder aesthetics become house style. What do I mean? In this case, at least the ones I am familiar with, especially the ones doing governance work, civic education, advocacy, are often funded by international foundations like USAID, FCD, Illuminate, Ford Foundation, Open Society. And these funders have their own visual cultures. Clean, minimal, sans serif, aspirational photography, lots of white space, name it. So over time, an organization that produces a lot of funder-facing reports, slide decks, and brochures starts to adopt that aesthetic, not because anyone decided to, but because the deliverables that get the most visibility and feedback are the funder-facing ones. So the brand slowly drifts towards what makes the funder comfortable, which is fine for funder relations, but that same aesthetic often lands completely flat when you are trying to communicate with the communities you are actually serving. You end up with a brand that speaks beautifully to a program officer somewhere in London and says almost nothing, for example, to a voter in, say, Bauchi State. Reason number 3, in most NGOs, structurally, nobody owns the brand. There is usually no brand manager. There is often no creative director. The designer is doing graphic design, social media, video editing, photography, and whatever else comes up. So the brand becomes somewhat neglected. It gets used over and over under deadline in different formats by different people, each one making small decisions that are slightly off from what the original intention was. 5 years down the line, you have a brand that nobody can quite explain and nobody knows how to fix. A brand without a keeper becomes a brand without a spine. And a brand without a spine looks exactly like every other brand that also lost its spine. Let us sink. Reason number 4. The designer in this case is the last person in the room. What do I mean? In most healthy brand processes, design is part of strategy. You will agree with me. The designer is asking in this process, who are we for? What do we stand for that our competitors don't? What does our audience already trust? How do we build on that? But in my experience, the designer is brought in after the strategy has already been decided. The name is chosen, the tagline is chosen, the programs are running now, make us a logo. That's not a design brief. That's a decoration request. And you can't build distinctive brand identity from a decoration request. This isn't a criticism of the designer. I have been that designer. It's a criticism of how organizations think about design's role. When the design is an afterthought, the output will always look like an afterthought. And afterthoughts look the same across every organization because they are all skipping the same steps. Reason number 5. Safety is rational under these conditions. And this is from a designer standpoint. And it's maybe the most important thing I will say in this video. Given everything I have just described, maybe the choice to be safe is being rational. More often than not, it is the correct decision given the constraints that the designer had faced. Let's think about it from a designer's position. You have a small budget, you have a short timeline, you have a client who can tell you clearly what they stand for, and multiple stakeholders who all have opinions. What do? You pick a clean sans serif, you find a stock photo of people who look vaguely like the community you serve, you make something that nobody will object to, because nobody objects is the closest thing to success that the process is designed to produce. But the safe brand quietly costs the organization in donor first impression, in community trust, in the inability to stand for something specific enough that people remember you. The design industry talks a lot about courage, but courage is a luxury. What these organizations actually need are better systems, better briefs, earlier design involvement, someone who owns the brand long enough to give it a spine. Now let's look at the flip side. So what does it look like when Nigerian civic organizations actually get brand right? Because I don't want to sound like I'm just diagnosing. I want to also show the way forward, because that's where this big video becomes very useful. A few things have to be true simultaneously. Like, we have to come to a general conclusion, which is, first, someone has to be willing to answer the uncomfortable question. What are we specifically for that nobody else is for? Not good governance, not civic engagement. Something specific enough to exclude some people, because a brand that's for everyone is for no one. Second, the designer has to be in the strategy conversation, not brought in at the end to make a logo. In the beginning, asking the hard question: what does our audience already trust? What visual codes already mean something to them? What are we inheriting from our sector, and what do we want to reject? Third, and this one takes institutional will, the brand needs a keeper, someone whose job is to say that's of brand when something goes sideways, someone who knows where the guideline files is, someone who notices when the logo has been stretched. I mean, I have seen Nigerian organizations do this well. They are no more creative than the others. They just have more discipline, and that discipline is a choice. I am not standing outside the problem looking in. I am someone who lived it. I made choices under impossible constraints. I also made brave choices that didn't land because the organization wasn't ready to carry it. I have been the designer who got the brief on a Friday and had to deliver by Monday. I have been the person sitting in a meeting watching a solid brand concept get committed into something forgettable. And I have also been in the room where just occasionally everything aligned. The difference was never talent. It was always process and permission. That's what I'm trying to give you on this channel: the process, the frameworks, the insider language that helps you ask for permission or build a kind of brand that earns it. In the next video, I am going to show you the exact framework I use when I am building a brand brief for an organization, or in this case, an NGO. The question I ask, the decisions I force, and how to get a committee of 5 people to agree on something that actually has a point of view. If you are a designer who works in the space, or a comms manager at any of these organizations who knows your brand needs work but doesn't know where to start, please do subscribe, click on the notification bell, like, share. share this video because the next video is for you. And if this one resonated and if it named something you've been experiencing but couldn't quite articulate, share it with the person on your team who needs to hear it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Share your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video.